The Awakening. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the International Space Station, her dark eyes scanning the vast emptiness of space. For years, humanity had searched for signs of extraterrestrial life, sending out probes and radio signals into the cosmic void. But as Sarah gazed at the stars, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them back. A sudden flicker of movement caught her attention. The pinprick of light, barely visible against the backdrop of stars, seemed to dance and shift. Sarah blinked, convinced it was a trick of the light or perhaps space debris. But as she focused, the light grew brighter, pulsing with an otherworldly energy. "Control, this is Commander Chen," Sarah said, her voice tight with tension. "I'm observing an anomaly at coordinates 27.5 degrees right ascension, minus 30 degrees declination. Can you confirm?" The radio crackled to life. "Negative, Commander. Our instruments aren't picking up anything unusual at those coordinates." Sarah frowned, her gaze locked on the pulsing light. "It's there. I can see it with my naked eye. It's growing." As if responding to her words, the light suddenly exploded in brightness. Sarah threw up her arm to shield her eyes, stumbling back from the viewport. Alarms blared throughout the station as systems went haywire, overloaded by an unknown energy surge. "Mayday! Mayday!" Sarah shouted into her comm. "This is the ISS. We're experiencing a massive energy spike of unknown origin. Requesting immediate." Her words were cut off as a blinding flash engulfed the station. For a moment, Sarah felt weightless, disembodied. Then, as quickly as it had come, the light vanished. Sarah lowered her arm, blinking spots from her vision. The alarms had fallen silent, and an eerie calm settled over the station. She turned to check on her crewmates, but the words died in her throat. The interior of the ISS had changed. The familiar panels and equipment were gone, replaced by sleek alien technology that pulsed with a soft blue light. And floating in the center of the module was a holographic projection of Earth. But it wasn't the Earth Sarah knew. This planet was scared, its continents reshaped by massive impacts. Clouds of debris choked the atmosphere, and the oceans glowed an unnatural purple. "What the hell?" Sarah whispered, reaching out to touch the hologram. As her fingers brushed the image, a flood of information poured into her mind. She saw flashes of battles, alien ships raining fire upon cities, and humanity fighting back with desperate courage. With a gasp, Sarah pulled her hand away. The hologram flickered and changed, now showing a star map of the local galaxy. A pulsing red dot marked Earth's location, surrounded by a web of alien territories and trade routes. "Commander Chen, do you copy?" The voice of mission control cut through Sarah's daze. "We lost contact for several minutes. What's your status?" Sarah swallowed hard, her mind reeling from what she'd seen. "Control, you're not going to believe this, but I think we just got a warning. From the future." General Marcus Graves leaned back in his chair, his weathered face etched with lines of concern. The holographic display before him showed the images transmitted from the ISS, along with Commander Chen's initial report. "Let me get this straight," Graves said, his voice gravelly from years of command. "You're telling me that some kind of time traveler gave us a glimpse of Earth's future?" Sarah Chen nodded, her image flickering slightly in the holographic projection. "I know it sounds crazy, sir, but what I saw, it was real. And it wasn't just images. I felt knowledge. Information about the aliens who attack us, their technology, their weaknesses." Graves exchanged glances with the other military and scientific leaders gathered in the underground war room. "And you're certain this isn't some kind of trick? A hallucination caused by radiation or space debris?" "With all due respect, sir," Sarah replied, her voice firm. "I've been an astronaut for 15 years. I know the difference between a hallucination and reality. This was something else entirely. Something beyond our current understanding of physics." Dr. Amelia Rossi, the lead scientist of the Extraterrestrial Research Division, leaned forward. "Commander Chen, can you describe the alien technology you saw? Any details could be crucial." Sarah closed her eyes, concentrating. It was organic, almost. The ships weren't built so much as grown. They used some kind of crystalline lattice structure that could regenerate damage. And their weapons, she shuddered. They could manipulate gravity itself, create miniature black holes as projectiles. A murmur ran through the assembled leaders. General Graves held up a hand for silence. "If what Commander Chen is saying is true, we're facing a threat unlike anything humanity has ever encountered. The question is, what do we do with this information?" Dr. Rossi's eyes gleamed with excitement. "We prepare. If we've truly been given a glimpse of future technology, we need to start reverse engineering it immediately. We might have a chance to level the playing field before the aliens even arrive." "And if it's a hoax?" Colonel Zhang of Chinese intelligence asked, his voice skeptical. "We could be diverting valuable resources based on a space-induced hallucination." Graves stood, his imposing figure commanding attention. "We can't afford to take that chance. As of this moment, I'm initiating Protocol Omega. All major world governments will be briefed on the situation. We'll begin a covert mobilization of Earth's military and scientific resources." He turned to Sarah's hologram. "Commander Chen, I'm ordering the immediate return of the ISS crew. We need you and that alien-modified station back on Earth for study." Sarah nodded, her expression grim. "Understood, sir. We'll begin preparations for re-entry immediately." As the hologram winked out, Graves turned to face the window. Outside, the sprawling complex of Area 51 hummed with activity, unaware of the momentous decision just made. "May God help us all," Graves murmured, "if we're already too late." Dr. Kira Donovan hunched over her workstation, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. Around her, the cavernous laboratory buzzed with activity as scientists and engineers worked feverishly to unlock the secrets of the alien technology. "How's it coming, Dr. Donovan?" General Graves asked, approaching her station. Kira straightened, pushing a lock of red hair from her face. "It's incredible, sir. The more we study this technology, the more it seems to adapt and reveal itself to us. It's almost as if it wants us to understand it." Graves nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Any breakthroughs on the weapon systems?" "We're making progress on the gravity manipulation technology," Kira replied, pulling up a series of complex equations. "We think we can create localized gravity wells, which could be used for both offensive and defensive purposes. Imagine being able to deflect incoming projectiles or disrupt enemy ship formations with artificial gravity fields." "How soon until we can begin production?" Kira hesitated. "That's the thing, sir. This technology, it's not just about building new weapons. It's about fundamentally changing how we interact with the fabric of space-time. We're talking about rewriting the laws of physics as we know them." Graves frowned. "We don't have the luxury of time, Doctor. According to Commander Chen's vision, we have less than a decade before the alien fleet arrives." "I understand the urgency, sir," Kira said, her voice firm. "But rushing this could be catastrophic. One miscalculation with this level of technology could tear a hole in the universe." Before Graves could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. Red warning lights flashed as security personnel rushed to their stations. "What's going on?" Graves demanded, reaching for his comm unit. A breathless voice came through the speaker. "Sir, we've detected an unauthorized access to our mainframe. Someone's trying to steal the alien data." Graves cursed under his breath. "Lock down the facility. No one gets in or out until we find the breach." As chaos erupted around them, Kira turned back to her workstation. Her eyes widened as she saw lines of code scrolling across her screen at impossible speeds. "General," she called out, her voice tight with alarm. "I don't think this is a human hacker. The alien technology, it's evolving, adapting. I think it's trying to communicate with us directly." Graves leaned in, his face illuminated by the pulsing blue light of the holographic display. "What's it saying?" Kira's fingers danced across the interface, trying to keep up with the flood of data. It's a message, coordinates, and a warning. She looked up at Graves, her face pale. "Sir, I think we just got the location of the alien fleet, and according to this, they'll be here in 6 months, not 10 years. Graves straightened, his jaw set in a hard line. "It seems our future friends left out a few details. Get me the president. It's time to tell the world that we are not alone, and that we're about to be at war." As Graves strode away, barking orders into his comm, Kira turned back to her screen. The alien data continued to pour in, filling her mind with visions of advanced technology and the horrors of interstellar war. But amidst the terror, Kira felt a glimmer of hope. Humanity had been given a chance, a head start in a race they didn't even know they were running. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was adapting to impossible odds. The next 6 months would determine the fate of their species. Kira took a deep breath, cracked her knuckles, and dove back into the data. The future of humanity rested on their ability to understand and harness this alien knowledge. And she, for one, had no intention of letting Earth fall without a fight. First contact. The skies above Earth crackled with energy as the planetary defense grid hummed to life. In the 6 months since the warning, humanity had achieved technological advancements that would have normally taken decades. Cities across the globe now sported gleaming towers of alien-inspired architecture, while orbiting platforms bristled with weapons beyond most humans' comprehension. Captain Jack Harper stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, Earth's first true interstellar warship. The vessel was a marvel of hybrid technology, blending the best of human innovation with the alien knowledge they'd been gifted. "Status report," Jack barked, his steely gaze fixed on the holographic display showing Earth's defensive formation. His XO, Lieutenant Zura Kalani, responded crisply. "All systems nominal, Captain. The fleet is in position, and planetary defenses are at full power." Jack nodded, a grim smile tugging at his lips. "Let's hope it's enough." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the ship. The holographic display flickered, showing a massive distortion forming at the edge of the solar system. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Zora called out, her fingers dancing across her console. "Sir, it's them. The alien fleet has arrived." Jack took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. This was the moment they'd been preparing for, the crucible that would determine humanity's fate. "All hands, battle stations," he ordered, his voice calm despite the storm of emotions raging within him. "Let's show these aliens that humanity isn't going down without a fight." The void of space erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy as the alien armada emerged from hyperspace. Their ships were just as Commander Chen had described, organic, almost alive, with crystalline structures that pulsed with an eerie internal light. "My God," Zora whispered, her eyes wide as she took in the sheer scale of the invasion force. "There must be thousands of them." Jack's jaw clenched. The aliens outnumbered Earth's hastily assembled fleet 10-1. But numbers weren't everything. They had surprise on their side. The invaders couldn't know that humanity had been prepared for their arrival. "Send the signal," Jack ordered. "Let's see if our little surprise package works." Across Earth's fleet, specially designed emitters powered up. They broadcast a complex series of gravitational waves, a message encoded in the very fabric of space-time, a language the aliens couldn't ignore. For a moment, nothing happened. The alien fleet continued its inexorable advance towards Earth. Then, suddenly, their formation faltered. Ships began to drift out of alignment, their coordinated approach disrupted. "It's working," Zora exclaimed. "The gravity pulse is interfering with their neural network. They can't coordinate their attack." Jack allowed himself a small smile. "Score 1 for human ingenuity. All ships, commence attack pattern Delta. Hit them hard while they're disorganized." Earth's fleet surged forward, unleashing a barrage of advanced weaponry. Gravity lances punched through alien shields, while swarms of AI-controlled fighters darted between the larger ships, exploiting weak points in their organic armor. The battle was joined, and for the first time in their long history of conquest, the alien invaders found themselves on the defensive. In the shadowy confines of the Oval Office, President Elena Martinez watched the battle unfold via a secure holographic feed. Her face was etched with tension, years seeming to have been added overnight. "Madam President," General Graves said, his voice tight, "the initial engagement is going better than we could have hoped. But this is just the first wave. Our intel suggests they have reinforcements waiting in nearby star systems." Elena nodded, her eyes never leaving the display. "What about the package? Is it ready?" Dr. Kira Donovan stepped forward, dark circles under her eyes testament to the sleepless nights she'd endured. "We've done all we can, Madam President. The quantum bomb is prepped and ready for deployment. But I must stress again the risks involved. We're dealing with forces we barely understand." "And if we don't use it?" Elena asked, already knowing the answer. Graves's expression was grim. "Then it's only a matter of time before they overwhelm our defenses. Even with our technological leap, we're outnumbered in fighting a species with far more combat experience." Elena closed her eyes for a moment, the weight of her decision pressing down upon her. When she opened them again, there was steel in her gaze. "Deploy the package," she ordered. "May God forgive us for what we're about to do." Back on the Defiant, Jack and his crew fought with everything they had. The bridge shuddered as another alien barrage slammed against their shields. Shield integrity down to 30%. Zora reported, her voice strained. "We can't take much more of this, Captain." Jack gritted his teeth, watching as another Earth ship succumbed to the alien onslaught. They were holding their own, but the tide was slowly turning against them. "Captain," the comms officer called out. "Priority message from command. Authorization code Omega Black." Jack's blood ran cold. He knew what that meant. Put it through. The holographic display shifted, showing a spinning representation of an object that defied easy description. It was a sphere, yet not a sphere, its surface rippling with quantum fluctuations. "All ships, this is Captain Harper," Jack announced, his voice carrying to every vessel in Earth's fleet. "Fall back to minimum safe distance. Repeat, all ships fall back immediately." As Earth's battered fleet disengaged, the Defiant moved forward. In its hold, the quantum bomb pulsed with barely contained energy. "Zara," Jack said softly, "it's been an honor serving with you." His XO met his gaze, understanding dawning in her eyes. "The honor has been mine, Captain." With a nod, Jack turned back to the viewport. "Launch the package." The quantum bomb streaked out from the Defiant, a pinprick of light against the vast darkness of space. It slipped past the alien defenses, their sensors unable to detect the exotic particle emissions. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, reality itself seemed to scream. A sphere of utter darkness bloomed in the heart of the alien fleet, expanding at impossible speeds. Ships caught in its edge simply ceased to exist, their matter and energy consumed by the artificial singularity. "My God," Zora breathed, watching as the miniature black hole devoured nearly half of the invasion force in seconds. But something was wrong. The singularity continued to grow, far beyond the calculated safe radius. Alarms blared as the Defiant sensors went haywire. "It's not stabilizing," Jack shouted. "All ships, maximum thrust. Get clear of the event horizon." The Defiant's engines roared as they pushed the ship to its structural limits. Around them, the fabric of space-time buckled and warped, threatening to tear apart under the strain of the runaway black hole. Just when it seemed they couldn't escape, a blinding flash of light erupted from the singularity's core. The black hole collapsed in on itself, releasing a shockwave of energy that sent both human and alien ships tumbling. As the light faded and sensors came back online, Jack stared in awe at the scene before him. Where once there had been thousands of alien vessels, now only scattered remnants remained. But that wasn't what held his attention. Floating in the space where the black hole had been was a ship unlike any he'd ever seen. It was massive, easily dwarfing even the largest alien dreadnoughts. Its hull shimmered with an iridescent light, as if it wasn't fully part of this reality. "Sir," Zara said, her voice hushed, "we're receiving a transmission. It's using the same gravitational language we used against the aliens." Jack straightened his uniform, acutely aware that he was about to make humanity's first official contact with a new alien species, one that had apparently just saved them from their own doomsday weapon. "Put it through," he ordered, bracing himself for whatever came next. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a being that defied easy description. It was vaguely humanoid, but its body seemed to be composed of pure energy, shifting and flowing in mesmerizing patterns. "Greetings, warriors of Earth," the being said, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "We are the Guardians, and we have been watching your battle with great interest." Jack swallowed hard, finding his voice. "On behalf of humanity, I thank you for your intervention. But who are you? Why have you come?" The Guardian's form rippled, a gesture that might have been the equivalent of a smile. "We are the caretakers of this galaxy, young ones. We have watched countless civilizations rise and fall, always observing, rarely interfering. But your species, you have shown remarkable potential." "The warning," Jack said, realization dawning. "The future technology. That was you." "Indeed," the Guardian confirmed. "We gave you a glimpse of what might be, a chance to prepare. And you have exceeded our expectations. Few races have ever stood against the Harvesters as you have done today." Zara leaned forward, her curiosity overcoming her awe. "The Harvesters? Is that what they're called?" The Guardian's form darkened slightly. "They are a scourge upon the galaxy, consuming world after world to fuel their endless expansion. We have long sought a race with the potential to stand against them. And now, we believe we have found one." Jack's mind reeled at the implications. "Are you saying you want us to fight your war for you?" "Not for us," the Guardian corrected. "For yourselves, and for all the races of this galaxy who cannot defend themselves. We offer you knowledge, technology, and our guidance. But the choice to accept this burden must be yours." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Jack looked at his crew, seeing the mixture of fear, excitement, and determination in their eyes. They had just fought for the survival of their world, and now they were being offered a chance to save the entire galaxy. "We'll need to consult with our leaders," Jack said carefully. "This isn't a decision I can make alone." The Guardian nodded, its form shimmering. "We understand. Know this, humans of Earth, today, you have proven yourselves worthy of joining the galactic community. Whether you choose to become its defenders is up to you. We await your decision." As the transmission ended, Jack let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. He turned to Zara, seeing his own mix of emotions reflected in her eyes. "Well," he said with a wry smile, "I guess the adventure's just beginning." Zara nodded, a determined glint in her eye. "Whatever comes next, sir, Earth will be ready." As the Defiant turned back towards their home planet, Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged victorious. Now they stood on the threshold of a larger universe, full of wonders and dangers beyond imagination. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now beckoned, and humanity, battle-tested and unbowed, was ready to answer the call. The counterstrike. The United Earth Council chamber buzzed with tension. Representatives from every nation on the planet sat in tiered seats, their faces a mix of determination and apprehension. At the center of the room, a holographic display showed the Guardian ship still hovering beyond Earth's orbit, a silent reminder of the choice that lay before them. President Elena Martinez stood at the podium, her voice carrying across the chamber. "We've all seen the data. We've all heard the Guardian's offer. The question before us now is simple, yet monumental. Do we accept their proposal, and take on the mantle of galactic defenders. A murmur rippled through the assembled leaders. General Graves stepped forward, his weathered face set in grim lines. "Madam President, members of the Council, I don't think we have much of a choice. The harvesters will return, and next time, they'll be prepared for our defenses. Without the Guardians' help, Earth won't survive a second invasion." Dr. Kira Donovan cleared her throat, drawing attention. "While I agree that we need the Guardians' assistance, we must proceed with caution. Their technology is centuries, perhaps millennia beyond our own. We barely understand the principles behind the weapons we've already developed. Rushing headlong into a galactic war could be disastrous." The Chinese representative, Ambassador Lai, stood up. "And what of Earth's own interests? Are we to ignore the problems on our own planet to fight wars among the stars?" President Martinez raised a hand for silence. "These are all valid concerns, but let us not forget what we've already achieved. In mere months, we advanced our technology by centuries. We united as a planet to face an existential threat. And we won." She paused, her gaze sweeping the room. "Now we have a chance to ensure that no other world faces the terror we did. We have a chance to make a difference on a cosmic scale." She took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "I propose that we accept the Guardian's offer, but on our terms. We will learn, we will prepare, but we will not abandon Earth or its people. We will become defenders of the galaxy, yes, but first and foremost, we remain defenders of humanity." A hush fell over the chamber as the weight of the decision settled upon them. Then, slowly, heads began to nod. Murmurs of agreement grew into a swell of voices. Ambassador Lai stood again, a slight smile on his face. "Madam President, I believe I speak for many when I say, Earth stands ready. Let us show the galaxy what humanity can do." As applause filled the chamber, President Martinez allowed herself a small smile. The real work was just beginning, but humanity had taken its first step onto the galactic stage. Captain Jack Harper stood in awe as he materialized aboard the Guardian vessel. The interior defied easy description, with corridors that seemed to shift and change as he watched, surfaces that rippled with living light. Beside him, Dr. Kira Donovan spun slowly, taking in the alien environment. "It's incredible," she breathed. "The entire ship seems to be one interconnected, conscious entity. Their guardian host, the energy being they'd come to know as Zephyr, pulsed with what might have been amusement. Your observation is astute, Dr. Donovan. Our vessels are indeed living extensions of ourselves. They are born, not built." Jack shook his head in wonder. "I'm not sure I'll ever get used to this." "You will adapt," Zephyr assured him. "Your species has shown a remarkable capacity for growth. Come, there is much to show you." As they followed Zephyr through the ever-changing corridors, Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of vertigo. It wasn't just the alien architecture. It was the knowledge that they were about to embark on a journey that would change the course of human history forever. They entered a vast chamber, its walls alive with swirling star maps and streams of data. At the center stood a group of guardians, their energy forms pulsing in a rhythm that suggested deep concentration. "Behold," Zephyr said, gesturing to the galactic display, "the current state of the war against the harvesters." Jack and Kira stared in horror as they took in the scale of the conflict. Entire sectors of the galaxy glowed red, indicating harvester control. Pockets of resistance flickered here and there, but it was clear that the tide of battle was not in their favor. "It's worse than we imagined," Kira murmured. Zephyr's form dimmed slightly. "The harvesters have been expanding unchecked for millennia. Many advanced civilizations have fallen before them. But now, with Earth's aid, we believe the balance can be shifted." Jack straightened, his jaw set with determination. "Tell us what you need us to do." The galactic map zoomed in on a particular star system, highlighting a massive structure orbiting a dying star. "This is one of the harvester's primary replication facilities," Zephyr explained. "It draws energy directly from the star to create new ships and warriors. If we can destroy it, we'll deal a significant blow to their production capabilities. Kira leaned in, studying the facility's defenses. The energy output from that thing is off the charts. How are we supposed to get close enough to damage it? Zephyr's form rippled with what might have been excitement. That, Dr. Donovan, is where your unique human perspective comes in. We have the technology, but we lack the creative spark that has allowed your species to achieve so much in so little time. Jack exchanged a glance with Kira, a slow smile spreading across his face. I think it's time we showed the galaxy how humans wage war. Back on Earth, preparations for the counterstrike were in full swing. Shipyards that had once built ocean-going vessels now constructed sleek, Guardian-inspired warships. Research facilities around the globe worked round the clock to integrate alien technology with human ingenuity. In a hardened bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Graves stood before a team of Earth's best and brightest military minds. The holographic display before them showed a detailed schematic of the Harvester replication facility. Ladies and gentlemen, Graves began, his voice gruff. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. We're taking the fight directly to the enemy's doorstep, deep in their controlled space. Failure is not an option. He gestured to the schematic. Thanks to Dr. Donovan's team, we've managed to adapt our quantum bomb technology for precision strikes. The plan is to create a series of micro-singularities at key structural points within the facility. If we get it right, the whole thing will tear itself apart. Colonel Sarah Chen, recently promoted after her crucial role in Earth's defense, raised a hand. Sir, how do we get close enough to deploy the bombs? Even with Guardian stealth technology, the Harvester defenses are formidable. Graves allowed himself a grim smile. That's where things get interesting, Colonel. We're going to give them exactly what they're looking for. A human ship to harvest. A murmur ran through the assembled officers. Graves continued. The UEA's Trojan Horse, a specially modified destroyer, will allow itself to be captured. Once inside the facility, the ship's reactor will go critical, creating a temporary blind spot in their defenses. That's when our strike team moves in. He paused, his gaze sweeping the room. This mission is volunteer only. The risks are extreme, and there's a good chance it's a one-way trip. But if we succeed, we'll be saving countless lives across the galaxy. There was a moment of silence. Then, one by one, hands began to raise. Soon, every officer in the room had volunteered. Graves nodded, a surge of pride swelling in his chest. Very well. Let's show these harvesters what happens when they pick a fight with humanity. The UES Defiant dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the harvester-controlled system. Captain Jack Harper stood on the bridge, watching as the massive replication facility came into view. All ships, report in, he ordered, his voice calm despite the tension thrumming through his body. One by one, the captains of Earth's strike fleet sounded off. Last came the UES Trojan Horse, its captain's voice steady despite the suicide mission that lay ahead. This is Captain Yuki Tanaka of the Trojan Horse. We're ready to proceed. Sir. Jack took a deep breath. Godspeed, Trojan Horse. See you on the other side. As the rest of the fleet held position, cloaked by Guardian technology, the Trojan Horse moved forward. Its engines sputtered and died, making it appear as a derelict vessel drifting into harvester space. Minutes ticked by, feeling like hours. Then suddenly, alarms blared as massive energy signatures lit up the sensors. Harvester ships incoming. Lieutenant Zora Kalani reported. They've taken the bait. The Trojan Horse is being pulled into the facility. Jack watched, his hands clenched at his sides, as the Earth ship disappeared into the maw of the alien structure. Now, all they could do was wait and hope that Captain Tanaka and her crew could pull off their part of the mission. Inside the replication facility, the Trojan Horse was subjected to intense scans as the harvesters prepared to break down the ship and its crew for raw materials. In the ship's engine room, Captain Tanaka and her engineers worked feverishly, rigging the reactor for an overload that would create an electromagnetic pulse, unlike anything the harvesters had ever seen. Reactor at critical levels, Captain, her chief engineer reported, sweat beading on his brow. We've got maybe 2 minutes before this thing blows. Tanaka nodded, her face set with grim determination. All right, people. It's been an honor serving with you. Let's make this count. As the reactor reached its breaking point, Tanaka closed her eyes, thinking of the family she'd left behind on Earth. She hoped they'd understand why she'd volunteered for this mission, why the sacrifice was necessary. The Trojan horse erupted in a blinding flash of light and energy. The electromagnetic pulse ripped through the facility, temporarily disabling its defenses and communication systems. Back on the Defiant, Jack leaned forward. That's our cue. All ships, commence attack. Earth's fleet decloaked, surging toward the now vulnerable facility. Fighters streaked ahead, their pilots executing maneuvers that would have been impossible just months ago, before Guardian enhancements. The quantum bombs streaked towards their targets, each one a pinprick of light against the vast backdrop of space. As they detonated, micro-singularities blossomed across the harvester structure, warping and tearing its very fabric. Direct hits on all primary targets. Zara reported, a note of excitement in her voice. The facility's structural integrity is failing. Jack allowed himself a moment of hope. They'd done it. They'd actually done it. But as he watched the harvester facility begin to crumble, a new threat emerged. Sir, multiple hostile signatures incoming. Zora's voice was tight with alarm. It's a harvester battle group. They must have been close enough to detect the attack. Jack's mind raced. They'd achieved their primary objective, but at a cost. The fleet wasn't prepared for a prolonged engagement, not here in enemy territory. All ships, prepare for emergency FTL jump, he ordered. We've done what we came to do. Let's not waste the sacrifice of the Trojan horse's crew. As Earth's fleet disengaged, narrowly avoiding the wrath of the incoming harvester ships, Jack stared at the collapsing replication facility. It was a significant victory, their first real blow against an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia. But the cost had been high. The Trojan horse and its brave crew were gone, along with numerous fighters lost in the attack run. And this was just the beginning. The war against the harvesters was far from over. As the Defiant leaped into faster-than-light travel, Jack silently vowed to honor the memory of those who had fallen. Their sacrifice would not be in vain. Humanity had taken its first steps as defenders of the galaxy, and they would not falter now. The stars streaked by outside the view screen, carrying the Earth fleet back to the relative safety of their home system. But Jack knew that they couldn't hide behind Earth's defenses forever. The galaxy was counting on them now. Humanity had chosen its path. Now, they had to see it through, no matter the cost. The stars outside the viewport gradually shifted from streaks back to pinpoints as the Earth fleet dropped out of FTL on the outskirts of the Sol system. Jack released a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. They were home for now. Status report, he called out, his voice steady despite the fatigue creeping into his bones. Lieutenant Chen's fingers danced across her console. All ships accounted for, Admiral. Minimal damage reported across the fleet. We're lucky, sir. Jack nodded grimly. They were lucky, but luck wouldn't be enough in the battles to come. Open a channel to all ships, he ordered. As the comm officer signaled readiness, Jack straightened his uniform and faced the camera. This is Admiral Pearson to all hands. Today, we struck a blow against an enemy that has long been thought invincible. The Harvester Replication Facility is no more, thanks to the bravery and sacrifice of every person in this fleet. He paused, allowing the weight of their accomplishment to sink in. But this victory comes at a terrible cost. We've lost good people, friends, comrades, heroes. The crew of the Trojan horse gave everything so that we might have a fighting chance. We will honor their memory by ensuring their sacrifice was not in vain. Jack's eyes hardened, his voice taking on a steely edge. Make no mistake, this was only the beginning. The harvesters will retaliate, and we must be ready. Earth is no longer just our home. It's become a beacon of hope for countless civilizations across the galaxy. We've taken up the mantle of defenders, and we cannot falter now. He allowed himself a small, determined smile. Rest while you can. Repair, rearm, and prepare. We've proven that humanity can stand against the darkness. Now, we must show the galaxy that we can lead them into the light. Pearson out. As the transmission ended, Jack turned to his XO. Commander Ramirez, Sarah, set up a briefing with all ship captains and section heads in 2 hours. We need to analyze every aspect of this engagement and start planning our next move. Ramirez nodded, already tapping commands into her datapad. Aye, sir. And the Trojan horses' families. Jack's expression softened for a moment. I'll handle the notifications personally. They deserve to hear it from me. As the Defiant and her sister ships moved into orbit around Earth, the mood aboard was a complex mixture of triumph and sorrow. They had achieved the impossible, but the road ahead was long and fraught with danger. In his ready room, Jack called up the personnel files of the Trojan horses' crew. Faces of the brave men and women who had given everything stared back at him from the screen. He wouldn't forget a single one of them. A priority message alert flashed on his terminal. It was from the United Earth Council. Admiral Pearson. The message read, report to Geneva immediately for full debrief. The coalition of alien races is demanding a meeting. Your actions have changed the course of galactic history. We need to decide our next move carefully. Jack leaned back in his chair, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on his shoulders. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage. Now, they had to prove they were ready for the challenges that lay ahead. The war against the Harvesters had truly begun, and Earth was at the center of it all. As the Defiant settled into Earth orbit, Jack prepared for the upcoming diplomatic storm. He knew the victory against the Harvesters would send shockwaves throughout the galaxy, and humanity's newfound role as defenders would attract both allies and enemies. Before departing for Geneva, Jack made his way to the ship's memorial hall. A holographic display flickered to life as he entered, showing the faces of those lost in the recent battle. He stood in silence, paying his respects to the fallen. "We won't let you down," he whispered, his voice barely audible. The shuttle ride to the surface was tense. Jack used the time to review the preliminary reports from the engagement, searching for any details that might give them an edge in future confrontations. The Harvester's technology was still largely a mystery, and every scrap of information was vital. As the shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, Jack caught sight of the massive orbital defense platforms that now encircled the planet. A year ago, such defenses would have seemed like overkill. Now, he wondered if they would be enough. The United Earth Council chambers in Geneva were abuzz with activity when Jack arrived. Representatives from various nations huddled in small groups, their conversations a mix of excitement and concern. Jack's entrance caused a momentary hush before the room erupted in applause. Council Chairwoman Adeyemi approached, her face a mask of diplomatic calm. "Admiral Pearson, congratulations on your victory. The Council is eager to hear your full report." Jack nodded respectfully. "Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. But before we begin, I'd like to discuss the families of those we lost. They deserve our full support." Adeyemi's expression softened. "Of course, Admiral. We've already begun preparing comprehensive care packages and memorial services. Their sacrifice will not be forgotten." The debriefing lasted for hours. Jack recounted every detail of the mission, from the initial approach to the final desperate moments of the Trojan horses' run. The Council listened intently, their questions probing for any information that could give them an advantage in the conflicts to come. As the session wound down, Chairwoman Adeyemi brought up the pressing matter at hand. "Admiral, we've received communiques from no less than 12 alien races since news of your victory spread. They're all demanding an audience." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Demanding or requesting?" "Both," Adeyemi replied with a wry smile. "Some see us as potential saviors, others as reckless upstarts who might bring the full wrath of the harvesters down upon the galaxy. We need to navigate these diplomatic waters carefully. Jack nodded, his mind already racing with the implications. We'll need to form alliances, share technology, and coordinate our efforts if we're going to have any chance against the harvesters in the long run. Agreed, said Adeyemi. But we must also protect Earth's interests. We can't afford to be seen as pawns in some larger galactic game. As the council deliberated on how to proceed, Jack found himself staring out the window at the bustling city below. Citizens went about their daily lives, most of them unaware of the monumental shifts occurring in humanity's place in the universe. A junior officer approached, tablet in hand. "Excuse me, Admiral. We've just received a priority transmission from deep space. Well, sir, it appears to be from the harvesters themselves." Jack's blood ran cold. He turned to face the council, whose members had fallen silent at the news. "It seems," Jack said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the moment, "that we've gotten their attention. The real test begins now." The chamber erupted in a flurry of activity as officials scrambled to prepare for this unprecedented contact. Jack steeled himself for what was to come. The opening moves had been made, and now the true game was about to begin. A game where the stakes were nothing less than the fate of Earth and the entire galaxy. As the council chamber buzzed with frantic activity, Jack forced himself to remain calm. He'd faced down harvester ships in the void of space. He could handle this. "Put it on the main screen," he ordered, his voice cutting through the chaos. The large display at the front of the chamber flickered to life, revealing a sight that made even the seasoned admiral pause. The being on the screen was clearly not human, its form an unsettling blend of organic and mechanical parts. Multiple eyes, if they could be called that, focused on the assembled humans. When it spoke, the voice was a discordant mixture of tones, the translation software struggling to keep up. "Humans of Earth," the harvester entity said, "you have interfered with matters beyond your comprehension. The natural order of the galaxy must be maintained." Jack stepped forward, aware that he was now speaking not just for the military, but for all of humanity. "We comprehend enough. You've terrorized countless civilizations, stripped worlds bare. That ends now." The harvester's expression was unreadable, but there was a hint of something almost like amusement in its voice. "You are young, impetuous. You cannot grasp the scales of time and necessity that drive our actions. But you have proven interesting. We offer you a choice." The chamber fell deathly silent as the harvester continued. "Join us. Become part of the harvest. Your world, your people will be spared, elevated. In return, you will help us bring order to the chaos of the galaxy." Jack's eyes narrowed. "And if we refuse? Then you will face the full might of the harvester fleets. Your recent victory will seem hollow when your world burns." Before Jack could respond, Chairwoman Adeyemi stepped up beside him. "We'll need time to consider your offer," she said diplomatically. The harvester entity seemed to regard them for a long moment. "You have 3 of your Earth days. Choose wisely." The transmission cut off abruptly. The council chamber exploded into a cacophony of voices, arguments, and panicked discussions. Jack turned to Adeyemi, his expression grim. "Madam Chairwoman, we can't seriously be considering their offer." Adeyemi's face was a mask of worry. "Of course not, Admiral. But we needed time to prepare, to warn our allies. 3 days isn't much, but it's better than nothing." Jack nodded, his mind already racing with preparations. "We'll need to evacuate as many civilians as we can to our off-world colonies, and we'll have to hope that some of those alien races clamoring for an audience are willing to stand with us." "Agreed," Adeyemi said. She turned to address the council. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are now on a war footing. Every resource, every ship, every able body must be prepared for what's coming. Admiral Pearson will coordinate our military response. The rest of us need to manage the civilian response and our diplomatic outreach." As the council members rushed to their tasks, Jack felt the weight of history pressing down on him. He'd led humanity to its first victory against the Harvesters, but now the real battle was about to begin. "Get me a secure line to our off-world colonies," he ordered a nearby aide. "And contact every ship captain in the fleet. I want everyone back and ready for action within 48 hours." As he strode out of the council chambers, Jack's resolve hardened. They had 3 days to prepare for the fight of their lives. 3 days to rally allies, to shore up defenses, to say goodbye to loved ones. 3 days until the real war began. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, now hung in the balance. And Jack Pearson, Admiral of Earth's fledgling space fleet, found himself at the center of it all. The Harvesters were coming, and this time there would be no retreat.